Just before we dive into today's video, I will give you a disclaimer. There are going to be minor spoilers for Jedi Survivor in the second half of this video. As with all of my videos, I do put the timestamps down below, so it's going to be pretty safe until we get to the Kenobi section. But enjoy today's video. Tomorrow is May the 4th Star Wars Day, and there are a few small things to be excited about. It might not be the most thrilling Star Wars Day we've ever had, but there are a couple of things to be really pumped about. We have Star Wars Visions Volume 2, probably the biggest thing tomorrow. We have Young Jedi Adventures, and now Lucasfilm has announced another Simpsons crossover event, a short about Maggie Simpson titled Rogue, Not Quite the One. The official synopsis is as follows. Homer Simpson loses track of Maggie, who hops into Grogu's hovering pram for a hyperspace hopping adventure across the galaxy. Facing a squadron of Imperial TIE fighters, Maggie brings the battle to Springfield in this epic short celebrating the franchise. The unthinkable has happened, and now the Simpsons are debuting another crossover. Of course, back in 2021 we had The Force Awakens from its snap, another Simpsons Star Wars special, and a year before that, the Disney Investor Day 2020 short. But this new one looks like it might be quite a lot of fun. Now, aside from this year's Star Wars Day focusing on animated content, there are a few specials and promos from various brands, notably LEGO, both in the UK, Europe and North America. There's also going to be Carrie Fisher's Hollywood Walk of Fame star, a London mural, and as usual promos and discounts from various brands. And so now, my dear friends, I want to talk a little bit about Kevin Feige's Star Wars film. At Star Wars Celebration, it wasn't addressed at the live-action panel, but Kathleen Kennedy did talk about it in an interview, one that got a lot of fans talking and rather upset. She basically said it was fan math, it was speculation, various outlets reported on it, but there was nothing official. She claims if Kevin Feige did come up with an idea, she would be all ears. Now, we know for a fact this is not true. Not only did Michael Waldron tease he was writing a Kevin Feige script for the Star Wars film, but the Star Wars official YouTube channel even announced a Kevin Feige movie. So for whatever reason, she was playing coy and not revealing the truth. Well, today we have even more insight. Avengers Endgame directors were working on Kevin's film. So let's go through this. Ever since Disney acquired Lucasfilm, it seemed that Star Wars movies have had a tough time getting off the ground, many projects being cancelled, behind-the-scenes problems, setbacks, and production issues. This has been part of the reason there's been no Star Wars movies since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, but Star Wars Celebration 2023 brought some hope, some new film announcements that would ensure the franchise returns to the big screen. But before we knew about the 3 standalone films coming up, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy's Rey film, James Mangold's Origins of the Jedi, and Dave Filoni's Mandoverse film, we were told the next 3 were by Patty Jenkins, Taika Waititi, and Kevin Feige. But 2 of the 3, with the exception of Taika's film, and go and check out yesterday's video for the latest on that, fell to the wayside. But now it's come out during an interview on Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes and Will Arnett's podcast Smartless, the Russo brothers were in early conversations with Kevin Feige about directing his film. Joe Russo explained the following: "We love Star Wars. There were early conversations. There were some early conversations with us. Kevin Feige is a huge Star Wars fan, and there were some early convos about maybe teaming up with Kevin to do Star Wars." Now, this should come as no surprise, given the Russos have shown a keen interest in directing a film for Star Wars before. The official word from Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy is that Kevin Feige's movie was never something actively developed, but as I said, evidence points to the contrary. What's more is that Kennedy's not been entirely truthful on this matter. It makes perfect sense that Joe and Anthony Russo were in line to direct such a project, given their good working relationship with Feige and their professed Star Wars fandom. They are fans, they would understand the universe very well, but we just don't know when in the timeline this was going to take place. Some say it would have been High Republic, some think it would have been far into the future. We simply do not know, but there was something being developed. Maybe not with Michael Waldron, maybe that was for something different, but regardless, Kevin Feige's Star Wars film was definitely something that was in the works. So what about going forward with Kevin Feige and Star Wars? The Marvel Studios president might direct in the future, but it does seem unlikely at this stage, given Kathleen Kennedy's remarks. But with the movie side of things, the movie side of Star Wars, we just don't know what the truth is, because even though at Star Wars Celebration we were told the next 3 films, a couple of days ago Deadline said Taika Waititi's film, which was not even mentioned at Star Wars Celebration, is filming next year, which does seem very unlikely if not impossible. So transparency is lacking. We really are left in the dark. But first things first, Kevin Feige is a very busy man. He's got so much on his plate, even more than Rian Johnson, whose movie trilogy keeps getting pushed back. But going back to Kevin, since Marvel are heading towards a philosophy of quality over quantity, he probably doesn't have time for a separate franchise at this stage. Moreover, given her words at Star Wars Celebration, Kennedy doesn't even want to acknowledge Feige's movie for whatever reason. She might have a fair justification, but she was being anything but forthcoming with her words. And the Russo brothers are now also very busy too, so if this does happen, it's not going to be for a very long time. We have the Rey movie in 2025, the Dave Filoni Mandoverse film a year later, James Mangold's film in 4 or 5 years, so let's just wait and see. Share your thoughts on this in the comments down below. And so now, my dear friends, as you're probably aware, the WGA strike has now started. The Writers Guild of America is on strike, the first time since 2007-2008. This strike is mostly to do with the conditions under which streaming services treat their writers. Writers want fair compensation, an increase in residuals, more money for pensions and health plans, and just better overall standards, and rightly so. I stand with them, they deserve so much better for the work they do. But a big question fans have been wondering is how is this going to affect Marvel and Star Wars? Let's focus on Star Wars. Well, 2023 is not going to be affected because Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew have already wrapped filming. And on top of this, when it comes to Ahsoka, it's likely that any ADR has already taken place, reshoots as well, so 2023 slate is not going to be affected. But the real problems emerge when you're talking about the Acolyte and Andor Season 2. However, those shows have the benefit of being in production for longer than either of Marvel's current filming shows. Both shows have approximately 5 months of filming in the can, and the Acolyte wraps this very month. Andor Season 2, on the other hand, has more episodes than the Acolyte, and is expected to stay in production through the summer. How this is going to impact filming is uncertain at this stage, especially post-production, but it is possible that on-set revisions are less than for the Ahsoka show. But if the strike goes on for many months, as Decider.com say, Lucasfilm have to make decisions about how they proceed with the writers. And in case you're wondering about Mando Season 4, which is not going to release for a long time, Jon Favreau said he finished writing that over a year ago, and it's not going to begin filming until later this year, September, but more likely October. And so finally, my dear friends, Star Wars Timelines is the new canon reference book that outlines the entirety of the Star Wars canon under Disney, but to my dismay when I received it, there's hardly any reference to the Old Republic. We know that era was mostly, if not entirely, in Legends, but that doesn't mean they can't acknowledge it, but they want to start with the High Republic and move forward from there through the timeline. Well, one very interesting bit is highlighting Obi-Wan's timeline. In 57 BBY, a legend is born. 44 BBY, he meets Qui-Gon Jinn, his master. In 32 BBY, a chosen discovery. They discover Anakin on Tatooine. That, of course, was during the Phantom Menace. 22 BBY is the discovery of the clones. Then the Clone Wars until 19 BBY, Order 66, and the rise of Darth Vader. 9 BBY, he rescues Leia. 2 BBY is the Twin Sons episode of Star Wars Rebels. 0 BBY is A New Hope and his death, so they kind of highlighted all the main events in his life. A few outlets picked up on this, really interesting stuff, we already knew it, but it's really cool to conceptualize it visually and see it laid out like this. Now, speaking of Obi-Wan Kenobi, as we suspected months ago, there is a massive connection between Jedi Survivor and that series. One concept introduced by Deborah Chow was the Path, hidden Jedi smuggled for their own survival, and it was just mentioned in Jedi Survivor. When Cal Kestis reunites with Sia, she reveals she's a member of a secret group known as the Hidden Path, an underground railroad organization that ferries Jedi survivors, Force sensitives, and any other Jedi-affiliated people to safe havens across the galaxy. After this revelation, Cal's new mission is to secure Tanalorr as the perfect sanctuary for the Hidden Path, since the Empire can't reach it. But anyone who watched the Kenobi show probably lost it when Jedi Survivor name-dropped the Hidden Path, as this is the same group that the late Talar Dureth was involved with. Not to mention Quinlan Vos, and this brings up a big question. If Kenobi does have a Season 2, are they going to explore it in more depth? Could we see Quinlan in live action? Or maybe characters from Jedi Survivor in that show? Alternatively, as some fans have suggested, maybe Reva, after defecting, joins the group, protecting younglings and Jedi survivors. And at the end of the game, Cal finds Tanalorr and makes preparations to set it up as the base for the Hidden Path, and that's where the game ends. Now, we do know Jedi Fallen Order is going to be a trilogy: Fallen Order, Survivor, and hopefully a third installment. Only after that do I think Cal Kestis could come into live action, if he does, and if they do eventually decide to make a Kenobi Season 2, which Kathleen Kennedy says is not in the plans at Star Wars Celebration, there could be a major crossover. So share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.